this whole morality question brings us, okay, well then what drives us? What makes us want to do bad? And it goes back to this corruption, and it's explained very well in Genesis.
To go from flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone when he sees Eve for the first time to I'm naked.
Yeah.
She's the only one here. Like, who you hiding yourself
Yeah,
from?
I
You know what I'm
know.
trying to say? Like, I think there's like an element of like survival, the understanding of death, all the things that we do that cause us sin, like the pride that we have, jealousy, all these things stem from survival instincts, avoiding death instincts. It's in us somewhere down the line. The Adam and Eve, whatever, were not like this.
Yeah.
And they became like that.
It was pride.
To be like God. And if you look at now, like that's like the promise of the devil, like, you know, X, Y, Z, like be the moral standard of your own life. If you think something's wrong, call them out. If someone thinks differently than you, they're evil. Be mad at them, cancel them, you know, take them off social media, whatever it is. Subjective morality is scary. I never want to live in a world where something is good just because you said it was good.
I like to base my faith and my understanding of reality on what is most likely to be true.
All God wants is your heart. He just wants a relationship with you.
Now we just immediately change our perspective. Like, okay, then that's science is just the explanation of how that God decided to make the world.
What comes out of us when we are squeezed is a lot of what's in our heart.
Nathaniel, so nice to have you here. Welcome
Thank
to
you.
Meaning Unseen podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Nice to be here.
So, Nathaniel, we've talked about how you grew up in a Christian home, and one day you decided to explore evidence for Christianity for yourself. Can you tell me, like, what brought that urge for you?
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I've always been like an interested kid, like, you know, I've always just been interested in why and like what's going on and science and space and molecules, just stupid stuff, right? And nerdy stuff, right?
Stupid, I don't know.
Yeah, and you know what? Amen. Let's change the narrative. It is not stupid. It's very
It's
smart.
not.
It's very good. Yeah, so I've always been interested in that, and I grew up in the church. So those two things seem like they might come into conflict, but we're going to talk about today. They don't really at all.
They don't.
And yeah, I was always interested. I'd go to church, and eventually you get older, you start talking with other people, you start hearing arguments for the opposite, right? For the case against God, for example. And if you're honest with yourself, there's going to be questions that you want answers to, right? When you're talking with those people, like good atheists, at least, or good people that don't believe in God, that have like honest arguments and honest feelings about it. It's hard to come out of that if you have no knowledge of any evidences for God, or no, like nothing, without like a, interesting, like what is that? Like, what do they mean by that? Like, what is the answer to that question?
Yeah.
And I think it's beautiful when the people are like, I don't care. You know, I believe in God fully. It doesn't, no questions for me. And I think that's like, I think there's so much beauty in that. Like, I would love to.
It's probably because they have some sort of other evidence.
Exactly.
Right?
The
But like
subjective is real. Yeah.
a personal evidence of, but our mind is so tricky. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like people say all bunch of stuff about all bunch of things, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's important for people to explore for themselves, you know, to have
think it
a
is.
rational,
Yeah.
like, I don't think somebody should believe in God based on irrational reasons.
Absolutely. And it even depends, because irrationality you can believe in God for purely subjective reasons, where it's like, God has spoke to me. He's changed my life. When I pray to God, things happen, but I can't give you any arguments as to why I think this world has a God. But I can give you, because you can't argue from a subjective point of view. Like, hey, God, I believe God's real because, you know, you answered my prayer yesterday, right? It's not like a real argument. So I think God does call us to be very rational when we're talking to, in our beliefs too. Like, I think it's okay to be subjective.
What do you mean by that? Being subjective?
If you believe in God because of what he's done for you, that's subjective. It's your story. So if you told me like, hey, I was walking down the street and then I prayed for I needed money and I prayed, and then I saw some numbers, and then I went to the lottery and I won because of that money I prayed. I'd be like, if I was you, that would be very good evidence for that something is out there that looks out for you. But if you told me that, I'm like, that's not.
Yeah.
It's very like,
Yeah.
it's not like an objective.
Like,
it doesn't matter
yeah.
if it's, something like that.
People speak of their stories and their encounters with God all the time. It doesn't make
Exactly.
other people believe it, right?
At all.
Like,
At all.
no.
People that don't believe at all, it's hard to, if the spirit has already been planting seeds, what you say will plant another seed. But I don't think arguments don't even make people Christian anyways. Like, there's going to be no good arguments today that we talk zero things that will ever make somebody a Christian. It is always like the calling or the drawing of God, of the Father. But there are people who, like, if you're already Christian, rationality is important. There are people who won't even look at Christ, who won't even look at Christianity, they won't even start the journey because they think that it's completely irrational. And like everyone's just believing off subjective evidence, and like what you're saying, people are just believing kind of off their own stories, and that there should be some sort of rationality there so that we can bring it to the people of science, of the world, that trust evidence-based kind of like reasoning, right? So yeah, I think it's very important to be rational for them. Like, they won't even, I know people that I've had to like have conversations and like debunk certain things that they thought about Christianity, which I knew if I didn't, or if God didn't through me, then they wouldn't even look at it. They can't even like, right. No, like, if you don't believe in this, then I can't even look at that. But it's like, no, we don't not believe in that. There's doctrines and there's certain things.
You had mentioned a friend of yours that is an atheist, and this is sort of why you started looking into this?
You know what? That's a good point. So yeah, I guess I forgot the first question. How did I get into it? So it's like, so I was in the church. I'm very rational naturally, and I have an atheistic friend who's very smart, and
we love that.
Yeah, very smart. And I'm not gonna say God made him atheist for me or anything, but he's in my life and he's been benefiting my journey through Christ, through our conversations, right? And I hope that I'm benefiting him by planting some seeds. But yeah, so we used to argue a lot, like debate, you know what I mean? Just to debate a lot about God respectfully when we were younger. And I didn't know much. We had some good conversations, and then we stopped for like years. Just kind of like, we get over it or whatever. It's my friend, so he knows what I believe, I know what he believes, and we'll have little conversations in between. But yeah, lately, something about 8, 9 months ago, 6, 7 months ago, something like that, I went on a fast, right? And I was like, okay, like I'm fasting. I'm not, no non-Christian media, not all this stuff, right? Okay. And I was just forced to watch just Christian media, right? Or do all Christian things. And I was like, okay, I'm very interested in like apologetics and like people arguing with people about God. It looked cool to watch people debate and get owned or whatever, right? Eventually I got over that whole like, I'm going to prove you wrong type of mentality. And it's just like a conversation. But yeah, I got into that. And then I started hearing all the arguments for God. And I was like, wait, there are arguments that are like this good for God? Like there's no proof for God. There's no disproof for God. God has made he's made it a faith system. Like this is only by faith. You will never be able to prove me. You'll never be able to disprove me. Have fun. Right. So yeah, once I started looking at arguments, I was like, wait, these are actually like good. Like,
yeah, like they actually use science. And
they're solid, like real philosophical, like scientific. Yeah. Like, I'm like, oh, what the?
And like some big scientists and philosophers like are saying this stuff.
Like smart people.
Yeah. People I'm never gonna be a smart ass.
No,
so,
not even close.
Like, why not? Take their at least look into their research, right?
Yeah, and you know what? I do think it's lazy if you don't.
Yeah.
So that's one thing where it's like, yeah, you're 100% right.
Because you can easily not, right?
And you could easily do. It's so simple. It's so like...
It's simple, but also like when I first started looking into the stuff myself, and I was looking into different religions too, and I'm like, oh my God, like there are so many arguments for everything, right? Like, okay, well, I know how to prove this and that and this, and like just our human ability to... I don't know, create a God in our own head, and like so many things that I'm like, and it goes back deep into history and deep into like, you need to go to Egypt to see some of these things, right? Yeah, I'm from Egypt, likely.
Are you? Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. I don't even know that. Wow.
Yeah, like it can get overwhelming for sure. But I think if you look in the right direction, like you'll just find enough to give you like a push, right? Like people spend their life studying this.
Yeah. their
And,
entire life
like-
fully with the Spirit, like with the Holy Spirit guiding them. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Like, it's not.
People spend their life doing it.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't want to spend my life doing that,
Mhm.
to be honest.
Mhm.
Like, I want to utilize it. I want to get to some sort of
Exactly.
conclusion, or
Yeah.
at least my own conclusion, like, okay, well, most likely this is true.
Yeah,
you know?
some sort of peace. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to.
And then guess what? The rest, this is where my relationship with God actually comes in, and it's like, yeah, this is pretty true.
Exactly.
You know, like,
yeah. And I think it's important because we all believe, like all Christians, whatever, right? They believe in God for sure. Like, yeah, okay, I believe in Jesus. He died, he rose from my sins. He died for my sins, rose from the dead, right? There's something different that comes when you don't have to feel irrational about it, you know, and you don't have to feel like, yeah, I believe in God, and it's really a faith-based relationship that we have, right? And it's like all faith. I have no rationality for
No
why I think
explanation.
nothing. I just believe because my parents believed, and luckily God is real, so he actually has affected my life, and now I know that God is real. But it's like, yeah, so it is lazy for sure. It is a little bit because these questions are answered. Like there's some unanswered questions when it comes to God because he's God, and
of course, some
Right, like,
some
of
will
course,
always stay
right?
mysterious.
yeah,
The other important thing too is when we get to study these things and see it, we're able, like, not everybody's like that, right? Not
Absolutely.
everybody's born in a Christian faith, and some people are
Absolutely.
very, very logical. You
yeah.
know, like
most people aren't born. In a
yeah,
Christian
they
faith.
won't believe something unless they see it.
Exactly.
And so
yeah.
and so if you do want to represent Christ, you know, or like to share the gospel message, if you do believe it's true, like, it's important to look into this stuff. And
Yeah.
it gives you a lot of, again, foundation and
Exactly.
evidence to why you believe this. And it's like you said, it's a peace that comes with knowing, okay, this is not a completely irrational
Exactly.
thing. Like, hey, I spend time with my imaginary friend every
You know
Friday
what I mean?
night.
And,
You know,
and I think he's helping me. Like,
yeah,
you know,
because
it's like,
everybody
no.
will be like, okay, well, good for you, man. Like,
yeah. What's next?
as long as you're
What happens
good.
when you die? Like, yeah, buddy. It's like,
So, okay, so let's talk about some of the specific arguments that you've come
Yeah.
across, and then we'll go into depth with probably two of them that I have in mind.
for sure.
But,
Okay, awesome. Okay.
yeah.
So we'll even first, like, we'll talk about like faith in God and a belief in an ordered universe, that this is not like a random thing that kind of happened by chance, that it was like there was an intention to this universe. It was like designed in a certain way. That idea is literally what started the foundations of the scientific movement and the revolution. So a lot of atheistic people forget, like, they claim this extreme rationality, like, we're the most rational group of thinkers, right? If they don't want to call it a religion or whatever, right? We're the most rational group of thinkers. And they forget, like, this thing that you worship, like, this science came from the minds of Christians, right? So
Like who?
so yeah, we'll get into that. So Aristotle was not a Christian, and he started off this rejection of like the Greek mythology, the Greek pantheon, and like mythical explanations for things. And he really thought that you can observe the world and find out natural things and laws just through observation and things like that. So he pioneered the birth of like the first steps of what would later be the scientific method and scientific revolution in the future. That was pioneered by Christians. One of the things he believed was in this thing called telos, and it's this ultimate purpose. Like, everything had an ultimate purpose. It wasn't kind of just a random put togethering of things. Like, everything moved towards an ultimate goal. So he didn't believe in Jesus Christ, right? But he believed in this unmoved mover. This, and we'll talk about that later in one of the arguments. But this kind of like eternal thing, this divine thing that caused all of it and that guides the movement of reality, is in the direction of which reality goes, is towards this telos. He called it, it's just like this ultimate purpose, like, right? And it was very divine in its nature, right? Sure, it wasn't Christian, sure, it wasn't Jesus Christ, right? But it's very divine in his belief that that thing, that being, gave order to this world and like intended to create it in this way. Therefore, like, he took that and said, therefore we could then observe it and figure it out. Like, we don't have to create mystical explanations. If there is an order to it, if there's a lawgiver, there's probably laws, right? Okay, if there's laws, then we can probably go do some research, right?
So, but they had found laws initially to come up with a conclusion, right? Like, they found the order.
So this is like, their explanations for a lot of things were the gods created it or the gods did it, and how do things work? the gods kind of moved them in that way, or it wasn't a within the world explanation. It wasn't, how does this ball move? Well, because in this world, the force of gravity and this acts on this, and it was like, okay, the ball moves because it's natural place to be. The gods wanted to go there, right? It wasn't like an actual explanation of anything, but it was okay for them because they all believed in this kind of the Greek like gods, right? Aristotle rejected that, which is good because our God is rational. So he was on the right path, right? He's on the right path. Like, yeah, this is an ordered system. You got that right. You can observe it and like figure things out, right? So that was like the birth of what started the scientific movement. And then fast forward like 1,000 years, like 1,500 years, and this is where the God believers took it and ran with it. So the scientific method that we have today was started by Christians in mostly Europe, right? So it was a guy named Galileo, Galilee. He's known as the father of modern science. And he was a devout Christian, right? Devout believer in God. And he pioneered the idea that, so Aristotle was very observation-based. You could look and you could see, maybe you did a little experimentation, you could dissect animals and stuff like that. But Galileo took it to the point where he said all things in this natural world can be explained through natural laws and order, right? And again, it was all based on this belief of an ordered God. Like, this isn't random. Everything has a purpose. So you can observe it and figure it out, right? So he took that to a crazy level. Even Aristotle had this belief because of this kind of like divine purpose belief that he had. So Aristotle mixed the divine and the rational at the same time. Okay. So he had that belief, and he had this idea that if you dropped a heavier ball and a light ball at the same time, the heavier ball will fall faster because it's its natural place to go, and it's heavier and it will fall faster. And that's what we think we observe with, like, when we look at a ball falling, we think it is falling faster, right? And people believe that for like 1,500 years, right? And then Galileo came around and he had this extreme rationality view because of his belief in a God that was extremely rational, that ordered the world, right? He said, no, that's not the case. Like, no, there's laws that determine these falling balls, and there's other things that make things look like they're falling slower, like air resistance and all that type of stuff. So he went up to the Leaning Tower of Pisa in front of the whole like city, you know what I mean? Gathered all the crowds, a little gangster, right? Like a scientific gangster. He took two balls. What was like, one was made of wood, one was made of like metal or steel or whatever, but they were the exact same shape, same size, everything. So the air resistance against the balls would be the same, right? And he dropped it and they fell at the same time.
Yeah.
Everyone's going crazy,
That's
right?
what I learned in physics.
Yeah, right? The ball, yeah.
When you first said they fell at different times, I was like, hold up.
That sounds wrong, right?
I was like, let's see if he's gonna go somewhere with this.
Yeah. We took it there. Don't worry.
Okay,
Galileo saved us.
Okay.
But yeah, so he did that, and he really believed this like extreme rationality, and he created like ideas of motion that rejected kind of Aristotle's belief. But Aristotle did good because he rejected this mythical explanation for things, and God doesn't need mythical explanations at all.
What does mythical mean?
So why does it rain? Because the gods are crying. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if it's something like that, like because there's a war in heaven and blood is pouring. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like because water gets evaporated and forms a cloud.
Okay.
There's no actual explanation. It's just a mythical kind of just like a fairy tale. Like, you know what I mean? Like literally just a fairy tale explanation. And they were okay with that because they actually believed in those gods.
It's a myth. Yeah.
It's a myth, period. Yeah, literally. It's just like, yeah, this is what happens, and they're okay. Aristotle said no, like you could probably see and observe, and Galileo took it a whole next level. He said, no, you could definitely see and experiment everything, and all natural laws can be understood through a scientific method. And then there was René Descartes, father of philosophy. Same idea, this like extreme rationality. So he really like helped with the philosophy of the scientific method of this, like, things need to be repeatable, rational. You can't just experimentable. Like, you can't just be this kind of flimsy thing that, you know what I mean? It has to be a very systemic kind of method. Devout Christian, right? And he was a devout Christian and believed again in this order. He was the I think therefore I am philosopher, right? And he's like a devout Christian. And then our boy Isaac Newton, same thing. So he took all the stuff, Aristotle's motion, and then he took Galileo's like improvement of what motion really is. And René Descartes has his ideas on motion that are very like Galileo's. He took all of that and actually like made it some equations. It actually had like a gravitational equation, like, okay, and the rules of motion, object of motion will stay in motion unless affected by other forces, all these things, very rational, very ordered, very intentional. And it was all because they believed in this lawgiver. There's a lawgiver, so there's laws. If there's no lawgiver, there's no laws, right? It's just simple. Like, there's no laws. Things happen randomly.
So you think it was actually their curiosity about, or their knowing that there's a lawgiver that made them like chase that law?
I think it was them them really believing that there was a lawgiver let them also believe that there were laws to be chased.
Right. Especially when you find one and you're like, well, there must be 1,000 more.
Exactly, yeah. And they're repeatable. Like, it's not this kind of just random thing that it's like very repeatable. It happens every single time,
like
right?
2 + 2 = 4 here, and it also equals 4 in this equation.
Exactly. Okay. And like, wait, what? You know what I'm saying? Going crazy. This idea that like faith and believing in a God is contradictory to science is a lie from the devil. Like, just to put it like 100%, like, to be honest, it's not real. It's like, okay, let's say with no argument that there's a God, right? 100% there's a God in this world. What does that do to science? Nothing. Now we just immediately change our perspective. We're like, okay, then science is just the explanation of how that God decided to make the world.
Okay, so you're saying that very, very like known and big scientists and physicists that were the source of a lot of our discoveries were believers in God.
Yeah. And not only that belief fed their science. Like, they fed their search of order, not of the explanations of the order. Like, so order is the mother of science. Like, order birthed science. If there was no order, there's nothing to do science about. If you can't say every time you do this, there will be this result, there's no science. It's done, right? So it's like order is the birthplace of science.
Why is that from God? Could it be not from God? Maybe these people just happen to believe in God, but maybe,
whatever it was, because Aristotle didn't believe in our God, right? He believed in this divine source, but he didn't believe in like Jesus Christ. Whatever it is, if you're gonna argue that there is order, but there was no one to make it that way, there was no thing to make it that way, it falls a lot on deaf ears, because it's not a real concept to have, again, laws with no lawgiver. So the other argument would be, now maybe you could say, okay, there's order in the universe because of the multiverse. And there's so many universes that are because if there's no order, there's no life, right? That are unordered. And then they just kind of, nothing happens. Then we just happen to be the one that's ordered and we develop life and like things like that. So they obviously didn't have those ideas. So for them, it was simple. This world is ordered. Therefore, something or someone ordered it. That's all they needed to know, that like we can do science then.
Okay.
Simple. So this ordered world helped them believe that, there was something to be learned by like exploring the order. There's an explanation to it.
So let's go into the fine-tuning argument.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going to take it. Right? Yeah.
What can you tell us about the fine-tuning?
Yeah, let's talk. Yeah. So order is the birth of science. It's the mother of science, right? Okay. So order is it's a revelation that, this thing is intentional. You know what I mean? Like, if you just coded a computer kind of randomly, eyes closed, and intentionally coded a website, they're going to look very, very different, right? One of them is not going to function at all. And one of them is going to function. Like, it's simple, right? You need order to function. So the fine-tuning argument plays with that and says, listen, like, the constants of the universe we live in, these equations that dictate everything in life, from how fast planets form to how slow planets form, how the strength of which an atom sticks to itself instead of getting torn apart, right, and flying away. There's these constants that are so precise, like so precisely made for order. The number is irrelevant. It's literally 1 to the 120 to the 10 power to
I have some of those numbers.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I told you I'm bad at calculus. Like, it's a big number. Just know it's
I'll just
please,
I'll say a few just so people can get a perspective of what we're actually talking about here. So like Nathaniel said, it is precisely collaborated to allow our life on this earth or in this universe. So, for example, gravitational constant. This constant, if it was slightly stronger or weaker, life as we know it would not exist. If it differs by as little as 1 part in 10 to the 60.
Yeah, like, that's crazy. And
So
that's just
that's
the
one. Then stars, planets, even life would be impossible. Another one, cosmological constant. This one, it governs the expansion rate of the universe. And if this value was slightly different, either the universe would collapse back on itself or it would expand too quickly for galaxies and stars to form, which means we would not be here. So, to mathematically visualize this, consider if the universe were as large as the observable universe. So everything that we've been able to observe, which is about 93 billion light years in diameter. That's big. It has in it 1 trillion, which is 1 and 12 zeros, planets per galaxy, and 100 billion galaxies. The chance of finding one planet with the conditions necessary for life would still be small in that observable universe.
And that's like...
That's crazy.
And that's even just human life. Like the chance that...
That's human life,
like
yeah.
that there's humans, like it's... This argument, by the way, is if you don't lie to yourself, like if you don't start making stuff up, and it's one of the best raw, like solid arguments for God. A lot of the other stuff we've been talking about is like philosophical and like let's really sit down and think about. But like there's no way the gravitational constant, just by the tiniest hair, like you said, things will not come together. Cosmological constant, things will not come together. Protons literally push apart at each other at like crazy speeds. Yeah. And there's just this force that holds them together. And if that force was gone or just changed by the tiniest bit, gone. Like, forget, stop, atoms, the building blocks of life. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's these, and there's like 30 of them. There's like 33. And they all work together, you know?
So like you said, this is, from my research, this is the best used argument for the existence of a designer. Now, we're not talking about Jesus Christ, but we're talking about a designer, okay? Yeah. Now, for this argument of fine-tuning, everybody has to agree that this universe has been fine-tuned, okay? There's a saying here by David Deutsch. He says, if anyone claims not to be surprised by the special features of this universe, he is hiding his head in the sand.
Exactly. Significantly, it's insignificant. It's impossible. Like, you can call it impossible just because it's how close it is to zero. And the only argument that held weight was the multiverse.
So what is that counter argument?
So for one, there's zero empirical evidence of a multiverse, and I'll say that again because movies, TV shows, everyone's.
What is a multiverse? Can you
it's
tell?
It's this like everyone? They think it's this universe, or they think that our universe is a universe generating space. There's an infinite amount of universes that things may or may not happen that don't have these constants, for example, that get them wrong, that aren't exact. And then after an infinite amount of time, eventually you get a universe that gets it right.
Exactly.
And then, of course, because they got it right, then life happened to happen. Now we're smart enough to be like, oh, how did we get here? And, you know, so they'll say, no, it's just like, it's still chance. It's still a chance argument. They're saying, so the number we just pointed out, the odds are this low. They're saying, there was that many universes. And then eventually ours came, like, you know, it's infinite.
Because it's infinitely generating this.
Universes.
So eventually it will come up.
It will, yeah. And that makes, if the multiverse was a real thing, and we'll talk about why it's not, that makes sense. Yeah, sure. You can say there's an infinite amount of universes out there, and we happen to be on the one that's correct. Okay. That's not even if the multiverse is real, that's not even like a worse explanation than a designer, genuinely. Yeah. So there's not like this.
Yeah. How's that better explanation?
It's not. It's not even a better explanation.
That's for
but it's like they need something.
No.
Like they need. Like they can't. Like the devil is so powerful. Like they can't believe in God because he challenges every. Like the Sermon on the Mount was a challenge to every single ethical idea, ethical standard that humans had. Like slap someone, or when someone slaps you, like let him run it back. Like, you know, no one says that, right? So of course they can't really listen to this, but. The multiverse. So yeah, okay, there's a bunch of infinite universes out there, right? Generating universes, and then eventually you get to one that works out. So for one, I don't even know, like, there's zero evidence. Zero. Yeah. Like there's no evidence for a multiverse. And you'll see the prevalence in TVs and movie shows and like TV shows and movies and all that because it's the only other explanation to this ordered world. So they need this at the forefront. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They need the kids to. My atheist friend, that was his multiverse.
Multiverse?
Shut it down. Yeah, that's not now. We haven't moved further in this argument, right? This part at least.
Did he really believe it though? Like
I believed it
the multiverse?
because it's everywhere. Of course, it's real, guy. Like all the TV show, all the scientists, like even
Yeah.
all the scientists, they know it's theoretical. It's not even theoretical as me being nice. It's speculation. It's like speculated. Just like this is probably and it came.
Oh, you're saying when you say he believed it.
He used to believe in the multiverse with me, but we
Okay.
talked, and now he's like, okay, like, all right, so maybe there's no multiverse, but so this is the other thing. He'll say, there probably is something else. All right, there's probably another
thing. Okay.
another thing that we haven't discovered anything about in physics, anything about in philosophy that isn't a god, but isn't you know what I mean? So you're just looking for something else. But anyway, so it's multiverse, right?
I do wonder sometimes, like, there are 3 possible explanations for fine-tuning.
Yeah.
Necessity?
Necessity is like, that's barely an argument. Like,
Yeah,
it has to be this way is not an argument.
It's killed
It's
right
not,
away.
yeah.
Chance, which would fall into what we're talking
Multiverse, yeah,
multiverse,
yeah.
right? And then design.
That's it.
But then, so are we choosing design, me and you,
Yeah.
are we choosing design as like a process of elimination? Like,
Well, let's see. So there has to be something about like, what's the best explanation? So because there's no proof for God, and because there's no disproof for God, we can't really sit here and be like, yo, I'm going to prove God to you guys in an hour and a half, right? Like it's not how it works. But we can, as logical, rational beings, look at our options and be like, it seems like the best explanation is a designer, right? Okay, so you got the necessity, like it's not like it's not a thing. That's just to say like, oh, it happened, so therefore it had to happen. Like, look, we're here, so you have to be here. Like, it had to be like.
Yeah, it doesn't make
what is
sense.
that?
I honestly
It's
was
not real.
like trying to understand it. I'm like, I'm
It's
not
like,
even
like
tracking
philosophical, like gymnastics. Like it's not
circular
exactly
like, reasoning.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it is circular. It's like we're
gonna
here
get
because
into
we're
that
here.
later.
Yeah, you know. So I haven't done too much research on that. I don't care about that explanation. Multiverse, designer, and then the very 1% chance that maybe it's something else.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe it's not any of those two. Right?
Yeah.
The multiverse has so many contradictions. Scientific. So, okay, again, so there's no empirical evidence, right? But it's shown everywhere for a reason. They want us to believe in this like multiverse, so we don't have to believe in a designer. And there's a problem with the idea of infinity. Okay, so the claim of the multiverse only works if it's an infinite universe generating system, like it's forever and ever, right? Infinity doesn't exist in real life. There's no an infinite amount of space. There is no an infinite amount of time in real life. These are mathematical, like.
But is our universe infinite?
No, it's very fine. In fact,
How do
I'm
we
glad
know
you said that. The Big Bang. So that when the Big Bang came out, there were other theories of what could start the universe, right? I forgot to recall. There was like a steady state theory or something where the universe has always existed.
Okay.
It's just eternal, like this thing. The Big Bang came out, or the Big Bang theory came out, and once the evidence was shown that, hey, this is most likely what happened, the Big Bang, then we knew, okay, the universe is finite. Singularity, space, time, all these things came after the Big Bang, like came with the Big Bang, space and time, right? Just like what space and time? Like, yeah, it didn't exist. Like there was no space for my hand to even exist here. Like it's such a weird concept. Like there's no time for me to talk. Like there's nothing. There's just zero things, right? Okay, so they knew the universe was finite. And this is speculation on my part, I'm almost 99% sure anything about the multiverse came after this. After the finite universe discovery, the devil started scrambling. All right, the devil started scrambling. He did what he had to do in the world that he operates in, and then the multiverse theory came out. No empirical evidence, no nothing. People are like, okay, well, no, there's no God, so there has to be an infinite amount of universes, right?
The biggest argument I heard about the multiverse is that, well, this thing generating universes,
and that's the take
has
it there.
to have its own design.
It's ordered. It's an ordered system. Yeah, it's all you're just pushing the question further back.
Exactly.
That's it. Okay, what caused that? Like, yo, in this
and
atheists are confusing.
well,
to me.
another multi-universe.
I'm telling you, there's always, and that's the we'll take it to a philosophical place later, but it's like,
yes,
philosophically, you do get to. We'll get there. Yeah, it's 100%. There has to be something here that caused everything else. So, okay, anyways, infinity is not real. So, okay, you know how scientists or math videos would be like, yo, you take a ruler, theoretically, you could divide it in half an infinite amount of times. You find the half point, then you find the half point again, and you find the half point again, right? You keep going an infinite amount of times, and then forever and ever until infinity and all, everyone's happy, right? But in actuality, if you started dividing a ruler in half, even if you had a microscopic, whatever, you got down all the way to this thing called a Planck length, which is like the smallest length of distance in our universe. It's like there's nothing smaller than that, right? It's obviously smaller than your eye, like I can see and all that stuff.
Like atom, like
smaller than
would have to
atoms,
put
smaller than
under
quarks. You know, it's. I think it's more. It's never been seen.
Okay.
It's that. Yeah, it's like because atoms. I think we just took a picture of an atom for the first time like a couple of years ago, and it's in the atom, in the quarks. Like you know what I mean? It's the building block of life. So it's like the pixels of a computer screen, right? Eventually, you zoom in, you start seeing the squares, and then it's just a square. Yeah, there's no other square. You know what I mean? There's no more square. Reality is like that. It's also finite in time, but it's also finite in space. So if you did actually cut this ruler with a magical scissor, you would eventually get to a place where there's nowhere to cut. There's no half point, right? So infinity is contradicting in that way. And then mathematically, okay, if you have an infinite amount of white balls, and every 10th ball, there's a red ball. Okay, so infinite amount of white ball, 10th, red ball. White ball, red ball. Okay, so every 10th ball is a red ball. And if you lined up every red ball, you will have the same amount of balls. Because you will never not have a red ball to pick up to line up with a white ball. Okay, so this concept that you can have 90% less of something, but it's the exact same amount it's not real. It's like it breaks the rules of physics and reality. Like it's not an actual thing that can exist. So again, if you have all these balls, you never run out of red balls, and then you'd be looking, okay, there's the same amount of red balls as there is white balls, but there isn't. There's like almost 10 times more white balls. So in reality, in the actual like space and time, physical law filled ordered world that we live in, this infinity doesn't work. Even in the multiverse, like if there's only one, a couple universes like us, because there's so many things that have to happen for order, take all the universes that didn't work, and you line up the one that did, take all the rest, and then you line up the other one that did, you'll have the same amount of working universes as non-working universes, because it's like, it's an infinite amount of both. Everything is infinite, right? And this thing is, you're trying to like find it. It doesn't make sense. Don't worry. You don't even have to like. It's not real. It's like not a. It breaks reality. Yeah, no, it's not for anybody. It's not real. Like you literally like. There's no space. Like imagine a multiverse. Like where's the space to hold all this? Where's the time to go all the way back? Anyways, infinity is not real. Okay. Like there's so many like contradictions to it.
We're saying the universe is not.
Infinite.
It's not infinite. It is finite.
Very finite.
But yet,
and even if there was a multiverse, that would be finite. So even if you want to say there is another universe that we have no evidence for, there's nothing in science to promote that. Even if you really hated God enough or whatever, if you've been lied to enough where you just didn't want to believe that, even the multiverse has to be finite. This infinity thing we'll talk like it doesn't exist. Yeah, what do you think though? So that's the fine tuning argument and the counter argument and how it's not. There's no multiverse, guys. There's no infinity. Okay, so now we're like really have to deal with this question. The order in this world, the constants that you talk about, and there's like 30 of them, and they connect with each other, like they communicate. Yeah. So
I'm just curious. Our universe is finite. Mm-hmm. What do you think is outside of it? Like, because I just can't. Like, I think of the biggest I can think, and it's like space.
Yeah.
But it's like, what's outside of that? All I see is like more space.
Yeah, I can't imagine what it means like to not have to be bound by space and time. Like these are like
because
like, what does that mean?
It's like a different state, right?
Exactly.
So that's what you're saying. It's not.
Exactly. Yeah, the outside of the reality. I won't even say universe for those people that really want to stick to hey, maybe there's a finite multiverse, right? Cool. The outside of the whole reality is something that is outside of the reality. Like none of the laws that completely. Like
we don't even understand.
It's like if you were a painting. Yeah. If you were a character in this painting, and everything in your world is made out of paint. Yeah. You're living in a painting, right? Whatever. Like everything is made out of paint. And you then said, okay, I'm made out of paint, and the world's made out of paint, and I'm doing all this science, and everything here is made of paint. And there's colors. Okay, this is silver. This is blue. This is what this color means. All the science, right? Mm. If they asked, or if they said, okay, now that because everything is made out of paint, therefore the painter, if they came to that conclusion, is also made out of paint, you'd be like, wait, what? Like what do you mean? No, he used paint to make you, to create. So outside, if we're gonna argue that it's God that's outside of this, it's this eternal, like uncaused,
It's
unmoved
like not
thing.
even a physical.
You can't. Like, what
Yeah,
are you gonna say? He told us I'm spirit, so we
Yeah.
know it's this. It's a spirit. What is that? But it's a tri-personal spirit. So what is it?
It's actually
You can't.
fascinating.
Yeah,
It's actually
God is
crazy.
God. Yeah.
Like, just picture God in the beginning of time.
It's not.
There is no because he's the only thing that is
Everything
infinite,
I picture
right?
includes space and time. Like,
But-
I'm just like he's in
Right.
a link or something. And
Yeah.
the waters are formless and void. It's like, nah, bro. Like,
Right.
I don't even know. And that's why this is crazy to me. It's like, yo, there's actually a being that understood all of this.
Yeah.
And then like made it. Like, you have to
Like,
think of all this
that-
first, you know? Like,
And I'm overwhelmed, like,
and
making
that's
this podcast.
well, yeah. Well, we're all creators.
Well, I'm not God.
No, that's part of it. Yeah, we're here to stay. But no, it screams design. It screams intention. The fine-tuning argument, it screams like to the scientists, to whomever. It's like you're gonna look at all these numbers that vary, and people like to say it's fine-tuned for life. Forget life. There's no stars. There's no planets. There's no galaxies. It will literally just be a floating universe of particles floating billions of miles away from each other. No able to communicate. Nothing interesting. This universe is not only fine-tuned for life, it's fine-tuned for like a 3D interesting world where you could like grab things and they actually move. Like, imagine you grab something and it didn't do anything. You know, there's just no laws. Like, imagine you sipped your water and it didn't
Imagine
go
you just,
down. Like,
leave this cup and it doesn't
and
fall.
it just stays. Like, you know,
That'd be cool.
and you know what? And God's like, no, you don't even know what that means. Yeah, for
There
real.
has
Like,
to be a consequence.
there has to be some, yeah, because it's like it's ordered, and yeah, that's why I like science, because it's supposed to be the study of the order.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, why are Christians so afraid of science, and vice versa?
Yeah.
Right? Christians need to do their research, and that's why I'm not going to blame the atheists. They're going to hear anything and be like, oh, cool, I got a proof against Christianity. I'm not going to do any more research. I'm not going to look at the context of.
Yeah.
But Christians, we're the warriors. Like, we
They should know,
have
yeah.
to be like
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
the word and there's so many, like you said, there's so many smart people. It's not like you're doing the research yourself. You're not figuring out these concepts and
You can
equating
take
the-
these people who spend their
They
life
exist.
looking this stuff and
Exactly.
have summarized it into books and
Exactly. And God put him here for that. He put him here not so they would know stuff. They already believed,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
he put him here so we could sit and read and like watch videos and listen to podcasts and be like, oh wow, I have something to say to my friends who've always had something to say to me. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Always, since the beginning of time, like the non-believers have something to say. But
Right. So let's
yeah.
take this whole conversation
Yeah.
into the other type of argument.
Yeah.
There's lots of arguments out there, guys. Very much like I encourage you to go and look for some yourself. Like,
for real,
and
you'll be surprised.
they're good. They're good to go, you know? Like, and find counter arguments to them. Just
Yeah,
just
yeah.
explore it. But really know if there's a God out there, aren't you curious?
Mm.
You know?
And if he's the Christian God, if you're claiming to be a Christian, our God claims to be very rational, test all things. He's not mystical in that way. He's mystical as in he's a divine being and he has
Yeah,
mystery.
yeah.
But he chooses to operate off laws. He
Yeah.
chooses like, yo, we're going to do it this way.
Like, I
forever.
know other religions sometimes are like, you are not allowed to read other books.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
Yeah, burn books. Like
can you imagine, like,
Yeah.
my God didn't tell me I'm not allowed to read the Quran. I can
yeah,
read it all I
yeah,
want, you
yeah,
know?
'cause he
And
knows.
I
Yeah.
can rationalize these things for
Yeah.
myself, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, but that's why I love Jesus. It's like the more
fair
rational you
game.
get.
Like, let's just
Let's
explore
put them up. Like,
Let's
put the numbers up.
Put
like,
them all. We're all in
Exactly.
search of something. The truth.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly. And there's
should
an
not be
explanation.
afraid.
Like, there is something here. Like, God
Yeah.
is. It's like, yeah, man. God uses natural things to do his bidding. Like, why would he create this perfect world of like natural order and law, and then like when he wants to get stuff done, like do supernatural, like outside? Like, why?
Right.
I could
right.
just. This is perfect. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
Okay. Objective morality.
yeah.
I have a story for you first. So I brought this up at work, at my job. And, you know, we were going back and forth. Like, whenever you just ask somebody, is morality objective? Most answers, I think I saw a stat on this, something like 70-something% of people do not think that morality is objective.
Crazy.
Not of people, of Americans. Well, Americans are people,
Which is-
but
but I get you.
I
Americans are
mean,
people
specifically
too.
Americans. That was
Yeah.
the stat.
Yeah.
But a lot of
Most
people
stats
do not think that morality is objective. And we started discussing it. And the first thing that comes up is like, well, you find certain things wrong now that people in the past used to, sacrifice children, for example, and they thought that was good. So that was moral to them, but it's not moral to you. It got quite deep and quite complex, and I was honestly not really prepared to present the argument properly. But I looked at it again recently, and I can see why it was not presented properly, and I can see where it fell short. So I want to talk about it from C.S. Lewis' perspective. I don't know if you're familiar.
I was just listening to a video about his Mere Christianity book today.
Yes, that's the video I watched.
With the black
good. We're on the same.
God is good, and I was not searching for him. I was searching for something else, and I was just like, "Oh, see, I like C.S. Lewis." Let me watch it. That's okay. Yeah, what did you watch?
For people who don't know who C.S. Lewis is or what his journey was like, he was actually an atheist in his teens because of personal suffering, and he saw the world as cruel and meaningless. But over time, he started talking with some of his friends, like Tolkien, who is the author of The Lord of the Rings, and he challenged his views on the existence of God. And he became convinced by the idea of a universal moral law, a sense of right and wrong that seemed to point to something beyond humanity. At first, C.S. Lewis began to believe in God, but it was only later that he came to the conclusion that Christianity is the most intellectually satisfying explanation for life. And a key moment was a deep conversation with Tolkien, where he saw Christ as the fulfillment of humanity's deepest longings. He described himself as a reluctant convert, which means he believed that Christianity is actually true. He was drawn to faith because he believed Christianity was actually true, and not because he just wanted it to be true.
Yeah, he didn't even want it to be true. You could say, like, if he was like reluctant. Like,
exactly.
Okay, wow, this stuff is
really
he's convincing. Like,
damn it, like I have to believe in this. I guess
Yeah.
So, are you familiar with the moral law?
So yes, 100%. So like, let's even go talk about like that conversation you had with those friends at work.
Yeah.
So they're saying morality is subjective because people used to think things were good back then, but now we think that they're bad.
Yeah, so, but that's even like, that's them bringing in an extreme example. Like, oh, well, people used to, keep slaves and do this, and they thought it was fine, and now people don't, right? Yeah. But you can apply this to everything, right? Not everything that you're gonna view as right is gonna be right to me.
Exactly.
Right?
To say we live in a subjectively moral world because people are people think things that are good and that are bad, it doesn't mean anything. Like, yes, people. So my thing with them would be, okay, so let's say they used to rape women back then. Okay. Yeah. So in Rome, it was before Christianity came into the market. Mm-hmm. They had a different look on ethics and morals, and they didn't have this, everyone is equal and created in the image of God and should be treated as such, right? Mm-hmm. They had what an atheistic-like or a godless-like society would go to, and eventually, perhaps not in this generation, but eventually, if we live in a godless society, we'll get to a place where it's this strength economy. Like, your status and your strength determines how much you do or don't get in life and how much you're allowed to do to other people. So back then, if you were up, if you were rich, if you had the status, if you had the power, the wealth, not only could you do that to women, you're expected to. And the women, they live in that world. They know what they're expected to, you know what I mean? To receive it or whatever. Like, so the question would be for your friends there. Okay, so obviously they thought it was okay, clearly. We know now it's not okay. Mm. So are you saying, if we're living in a subjective world, are you saying it was okay then?
That's exactly what I was saying.
Simple.
So here's the fundamental thing that I realized that I did not mention to
and that's probably why God wanted to talk to them. Is like, okay, she needs to know that there's more to beautiful.
Yeah. So it's so essential to this whole argument. And I was like, well, yeah, obviously that makes so much sense. So I kind of really wrote it up like systematically so we can
let's do it.
See where this goes. Okay. So one thing needs to be established: the difference between moral rules and physical laws, like gravity, for example. Facts. So if I take this cup and drop it, it will always obey the law of gravity.
Praise the Lord. Yeah.
The law of gravity is what this cup will always obey.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're saying it in two different ways here.
Yeah.
But with moral laws, it's different. They tell us how humans ought to act, not necessarily how we actually act. So no one obeys the moral law perfectly, and some don't even try at all. We all seem to recognize that these rules exist, and they aren't just about what's convenient for us. Conveniency was also a big point here. So, for example, if you accidentally trip me and I fall, I might be annoyed for a second, but once I realize it was an accident, I will not be angry with you, right?
If you're a good person, yeah, hopefully.
Right.
Yeah.
But if somebody tries to trip me, and even if they fail, I will be angry with them because intentionally they
tried.
It seemed to me like they did something wrong.
Yeah.
So it's not about what's inconvenient for me. It's about the intent and whether their action was morally wrong. Okay, I know this doesn't convince anyone yet. And it's just the way he phrases his argument is just so, it's honestly really deep and it's really cool.
Yeah.
I can't go around it. I can't like counter do this.
Because there's no count. Because then as soon as you start countering, it's subjective. As soon as you start saying, "Well, I think this was okay of a situation because of this," it's like, okay, then it's just you think that, and what if he thinks it's good?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Go ahead.
Sometimes doing the right thing is actually inconvenient to me.
Absolutely.
Like most times. For example, keeping a promise I'd rather not keep.
Yeah.
Or studying when I can just cheat.
Yeah. Wow.
Or being dishonest when it makes me look bad. But doing the right thing can be hard, but it benefits everyone in the long run. A society where no one cheats, lies, or breaks promises is a much better one to live in.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Mm-hmm.
But here's the interesting part. If you ask me, why should I be unselfish?
Exactly.
Why not just look out for myself? And it is tricky to answer, because saying something like, because it is good for society, might sound logical, but then you could ask, why should I care about society if it doesn't benefit me personally? Eventually, the answer circles back to, because you ought to be unselfish.
Exactly, yeah. So there's this philosopher named David Hume, and this is like his problem. He had this thing called the is-ought problem.
Ought?
Is-ought. So
okay,
is/ought problem.
Okay.
Is exactly what you're talking about. Yes, we can ascribe facts to situations. So to stick on the hard-hitting topic of, rape and things of that nature. So let me play devil's advocate for it. It's not what I feel, okay? The fact of the matter is, when you rape a woman, you're taking something away from her own body, inside of her, without her permission. The most evil that you can do, right? And now that was an opinion. So hold on, let's stick to the facts. The facts are you do this to a woman. That gives her pain to her body, traumatizes her mind permanently sometimes, messes up X, Y, and Z. There's nothing in naturalistic explanations, in a non-theological explanation, that could take that fact and then turn it into, therefore, connect it, therefore you ought not to. And this is like, I use this example because it's visceral. Like that girl that you're talking about, you say subjective. You mention rape, you say, hey, is this objectively wrong? There's no justification. There's no, he was trying to kill my mom, so I killed him. There's no like, you know what I mean? I had to steal food for my kids because they're hungry. Like it's woman. Like there's no justification for that, right? So anyway, let's go back to David Hume. So okay, so you could say those facts about what does, but the connection that you draw by saying you ought not to do rape, it invokes something else. It means that, okay, I shouldn't do it. Why? Like what you're saying, why shouldn't I do it?
Because you care about the feelings.
Right? But then you get back to the fact, okay, but you're going to do this to the woman. You're going to hurt her. You're going to do, why? Like, what does that fact have to do with how I'm acting? That's a fact. I do what I want to do.
Unrelated,
They're not related points. How you should act.
If it is objective.
If there's no figure, call it Jesus, call it Gandhi.
If it is subjective.
Yeah, exactly.
Then there would be no connection between these two things.
You can't. It's just a fact. It's just, this is what this is, and this is caused by this. That extra step of saying, therefore you shouldn't do it, and for it to be justified. Like, obviously, you don't need God to tell you not to rape women. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. So that's another argument that atheists talk. Okay, you don't need God to do good. No. And you don't need a stop sign on a street
to
to stop. You can just stop and just do it. But no, there's rules.
Yeah. It's not the point. Like, it's
you don't need God to do
good. He put it in your nature, you know, in
the goodness
in you. You don't have to know him to have it.
Absolutely. But a God has to exist for something to be good, to be considered. So let's go back to the subjective world. If it's subjective, like you said, like nothing actually matters. If I say that what I did was right in my own brain, you as an atheistic, naturalistic, non-theological, whatever, have no arguments for me. Nothing. There's nothing you could say. But no, like, you're gonna hurt women. I don't care about hurting women. What's next, right? What's the next argument? You just take it, you push it. Okay. But you get the kids, I don't care about. I care only about me. Oh, but then if you hurt society, you're gonna hurt yourself at the end. I'll be dead. But it doesn't. I'm justified in my mind. That's what subjective morality means. Relativism.
Not even necessarily, to be honest, because some people in the world probably think that way, right? Well, how do you explain morality for them? So they're just
so if you believe that,
ignoring the objective moral law.
Yeah, if you believe that, like in your world, it is subjective. In your own mind, it is like, I think this is good, I think this is bad. But what we're saying is like, that doesn't matter. If it was just that, if you were right, for example, that what you think is good and what you think is bad, and she is also right that what she thinks is good, and he is also right, and you all have different varying opinions on what you guys think is good. Therefore, that means there's nothing that's actually good or bad. It's just what you feel and what you think. So, for example, let's say you're a teacher, you handed out a test to all your students, and it's like multiple choice, right? A, B, C, and D. Go back to your little table, they do the test, they give it back to you. Okay, everyone gives you the test, and you start marking it. You don't have an answer sheet. There's no actual answer sheet. There's no right or wrong answers. You're marking it. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
What does that even mean to mark it? To say that somebody is a better test taker.
Maybe nobody's marking it.
Right? Subjective morality, right? So it's like, if that's the case, then kid A does all A's and all B's, and this kid is different, and they all get 100%. That's the world. If that's the subjective world, they all get 100%. Your marking is arbitrary too, because it could be your subjective view. Oh, okay, no, I think this is
I'll
bad.
give myself 100%.
Exactly. Perfect. Yeah, you'll have your own, but there's no actual, that's the world that atheists are theorizing for us to believe in.
That's what it means
to be fully subjective. There's no answer sheet.
To have subjective morality.
Yeah, relativism. It's relative to me and you, to what I think.
Nobody lives that way.
Yo, like, no, they don't. It's
Nobody lives that
and my
way.
friend he's so like, he tries to be such this is another atheist friend. God has filled me with good people. Amen. My first atheist friend is a little less honest. So he'll say, yeah, I don't believe in God, but I also do believe in objective morality. Okay. And he'll say that moral laws are real. Like, they actually exist somewhere in some, I don't want to say dimension, but it's like called realism. It's like, it's an actual thing. It exists. These laws are real. But even then, you still wouldn't have to do them. There needs to be this authoritative.
Why do them?
Exactly. Okay, they're
Unless
real. And what?
They are your God.
And what? Yeah, who cares if they're real? Like, I'm going to be selfish, right? Like,
do you think somebody can look at the moral law as their God?
Their like moral law?
Friend, like, he doesn't believe in God, but he believes in objective morality. And he says it exists somewhere.
Yeah, and I gave him that one too. At first, he just said it just came from the universe. I was like, no, at least maybe more realism might be. I don't know. Well, you have to. And so this is like, me and him talk things out. So I'll say so many stupid things before he gets it out of me to finally get something smart. So it's not even like, yeah, we'll get through it. But like, yeah, you have to make something up. You're not going to believe in God. Like, it's like, there's nothing there for, okay. Because his brother, the opposite. He's honest. Yeah, he's an honest atheist. So I told him, I was like, listen, brother, if there's no God, forget the God, Christos, whatever you want to call it. I forget any specific God. If there's no authoritative figure that created the moral laws and enforces them in a sense of that he says you should do this. Like, why should we do it? Because this thing that made them also is a personal agent that wants us to do it. It's not like a random effect of the universe, right? So I told him that. He's like, okay, well then I guess there's no objective morality then. It's all subjective. I was like, okay, at least you're being honest. I was like, okay, bro. But then if someone does something to your wife or does something to whatever, and you think that they're evil and they come and tell you like, hey, I think I did good. You're done. You have no argument. He's like, yeah, I guess I'll just have to, you know what I mean? So he'll probably think
about that too.
He's honest. Yeah. He's like, well, but
like, he knows that's not how he would actually react.
I'll say deep down in his heart, he'll react. He might actually react that way, where he'll be like, I guess there's nothing I could say to him, but I'm still gonna react how I want to react. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like this cognitive it's like they create this own, it's like two separate worlds they live in. But of course, the objective morality is one of the best like philosophical explanations, because I was surprised you said 70% of people, I don't think they know what that question really means. Like, if you ask 70% of people, is objectively wrong? Yeah, there is no justification for it.
The question can be said in very different ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you don't,
absolutely.
And if we don't like talk about the foundation, like a simple explanation, like, okay, it actually does not follow the same thing as like nature laws follow, right? Like
great point.
A cup will always follow the law.
Yeah.
But humans actually do not always follow the law, but yet we think they ought to follow some sort of law.
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
Well, we don't even know, but like, we follow. Listen, like the ethics of the West is, again, the science of the West, the ethics of the West. It's thanks to Christianity. Like I said, the Roman Empire was disgusting before Christianity came into play. And Jesus gave a voice to women who had no voices at that time, to the poor, to the needy. And it's just this movement caught like wildfire, right? Came at the perfect time, and writing, and they're handing out letters. And, it came perfect time. Jesus came at a great time. But he completely took over the Roman world with that. These ethical systems, they resonate with us. That law is printed. Like you said, it's in our heart. So when we see it, when you like Matthew 5, 6, and 7, like Sermon on the Mount, like any new Christian, I'll be like, yo, read that first. Like, know what your God really is like, what he really thinks is good. And because there's so many people that are bad Christians and they'll say this and say that and take people out of even thinking about God. But it's like, yo, like, read the Sermon on the Mount, and you tell me that everything that you love about the Western world didn't come from this sermon, like didn't come from this view of looking at people in that way, right? So to bring it back to morality, like, if we were unintelligible beings, if we weren't free, we would follow the law like the cup dropping on the ground.
Right.
It's here. It's like, it's like animals, like it's instinctual, like, you know what I mean? And that's why it's, it's like, it's just in you, it's like this, it's like written in your heart. So but we are intelligent, like we've been corrupted, fully corrupted. And now it's like we ate the apple. Yo, when you ate the apple, and you found out like, I'm me, like, oh, there you go.
I can do whatever I want.
Like, I'm not like a flesh of my, Adam saw eat flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone.
That like, tree is called like knowledge of good and evil, right?
Exactly.
And like, this whole morality question brings us, okay, well then what drives us to, what makes us want to do bad? Like and it goes back to this corruption, and it's explained very well in Genesis, like that
there
sin
was a
led
perfect world
to death.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that tree, it gave us knowledge of it. It gave us like this like
ego,
awareness outside of like
the whole thing. To go from flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone, when he sees Eve for the first time, to I'm naked. Yeah. She's the only one here. Like, who you hiding yourself from? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's that apple chain. Like, I don't look at you as, you know what I mean? Actually, I do now, thank the Lord, but I wouldn't look at you as, you know what I mean? As a part of the organism that I am. Like, it's like this, it created this separation, this ego, this like, I am me. Like, I'm
something
not.
Very deep that is corrupted inside of our human nature.
There's a survival.
Inside every single one of us.
Yeah. I think there's like an element of like survival, the understanding of like something like, human psychology affects us almost like all the things that we do that cause us sin, like the pride that we have, jealousy, all these things stem from survival instincts, avoiding death instincts, like from whatever, right? Like, it's in us somewhere down the line. Adam and Eve, whatever, were not like this. Yeah. And they became like that.
It was pride.
It was pride that killed the devil, like from like pride, like to be like God. Like there's this
to be like God.
And if you look at now, like that's like the promise of the devil, like, X, Y, Z, like be like God, like be the moral standard of your own life. Mm-hmm. You are now if you think something's wrong, call them out. If someone thinks differently than you, they're evil. Be mad at them, cancel them, take them off social media, whatever it is. Like, subjective morality is scary. I never want to live in a world where something is good just because you said it was good, or something is just because you said it was good. Like we don't live in that world. Like, things are bad. Like, things are objectively bad.
And everybody
Things are
could say
objectively
they're bad,
Everyone
right?
will say it. Like, it's not
Like
like
somebody goes like terrorism, like
brother. Yeah.
thinking I'm doing this in the name of God, you know, and
see,
they truly believe it is right? But
Yeah.
do you look at it and say, oh, well, since morality is subjective, then
Good
they're
point.
right.
Yeah, great point. Yeah,
You
they
will
are
say
right.
that.
Absolutely.
You will
Yeah,
say
yeah,
that.
yeah.
You will look at that and say, that's wrong. I
Yeah.
wish that person was more guided to not be led to this point in their life.
Yeah. No, moral relativism is I'm telling you, is dangerous. And it's like, yo, you'll see now. We're living in a beautiful Christian ethics have made us. Yes, there's so many issues with organized religion and Christians, you know what I mean? And Christian people that also are affected by this human psychology, right? But the ethics of Christianity, like, thank God for that. Like, we're here now, we're living through it. And our parents, I mean, they weren't here, but, you know, our parents, or the white people's parents over in Canada before, you know, they were living off of that. And for real. But now we're shifting. The whole world is shifting secular.
Mm-hmm.
People are good because their parents are good. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because of anything in the world. People are good because they were taught to be good. Give it like 4, 5, 6 generations of a completely subjective, relativist, atheistic, naturalistic society. And you see how many people what really happens when people don't believe that.
What do you think we would get to? Like, do you think we would?
What do you see now?
Okay,
there's people killing people. Like,
so when it comes to morality, there's one tricky part about it that there are some topics that, like, okay, well, is everything that we, for example, believe is that are outside of God's design, therefore are immoral? And our probably our answers are as Christians would be yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if you're not a Christian, the idea of a thing is designed for something.
Yeah.
Actually, go ahead.
No, yeah, that's the thing. And it's a tricky topic. I didn't know if I want to bring it up on this, you know, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
These things that are like, they could, you know, like maybe God designed us with a certain order
100%.
and we're deviating from that.
Yeah. No, there's if we're going to talk about a world where like objective morality exists, things are objectively wrong, things are objectively right.
But why are these things not the same as like killing, for example? It's like killing is like, okay, maybe you'll find one psychopath in the world that'll be like, no, killing is fine. Or maybe all of them because they feel nothing.
Well, you're just being
people.
subjective now. So you're saying, why isn't there more subjective support for these type of things? Or why isn't there as little subjective support as there's for like killing or whatever? What I'm saying is we have to take humans out of it completely. So
but out of everything?
Or else then it becomes, if humans come into it and our ideas of what's right and wrong come into it,
but it
becomes subjective.
But you see how it's complicated, right? Like there are certain things that I can't be like, okay, well maybe in the Bible it says like this is a
wrong.
sin.
Yeah.
You know, but to me, just looking at it, it's like, well, like I can't say it's evil.
Yeah.
Like perhaps immoral in a sense that is outside of God's design for us.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me to look at it and be like, oh, this is the same as killing someone. That's what I'm saying.
So you have to, and that's where like the Job effect comes in, where God's like, where were you when I put the stars? Like, if you really want to look at that, and if you do really look into that yourself, you're going to see that there's some things that are objectively wrong with it, even to us. So for example, like 100% going against a design. If we're going to talk, whether you're Christian or not, if there's a design and you go against it, and if there are things that are objectively wrong and right, that would be objectively wrong, right? You're not doing what you're made to do, like, period. So that's why whether you think it's okay is a different question, or even whether it's not hurting you in the way that you see, like when you murder someone, that person's dead right there, right? But things lead to death. When they ate the apple, they did not die. God's promises aren't like that. You will surely die means like these things that are against his design lead to deaths. Because Immanuel Kant has this idea of philosophy where it's like you can figure out whether something is good or evil by maximizing it fully. Everyone's doing it. Would it work or would it not work? It doesn't work. It doesn't work, right? Like there's objective within fact, non-Bible, within the world reasons that we could see that, going against this design is like, it harms people. It harms society. Women have to have 2 kids to replace the population. Every girl has to have 2 kids to replace the population. Not one Western country is at replacement rate. They don't have enough kids.
Wait, replace the population in case of what?
Like literally when you die, someone takes your space. Right? So your kids do that, right? So if women don't have about 2 kids each, the population rate of the world goes down. It doesn't grow. It starts going down. Okay? So for example, in a country, that is very atheistic and secular, and women aren't having a lot of children, and they let Christians and Muslims in, and our God tells us to have children, be fruitful, multiply, because he knows, like, yo, this is part of it. And the Christians are having a bunch of kids. I mean, it's only gonna be a matter of time till that secular world is done. You're outgrown. It doesn't work. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like, but anyways, I don't know how we got to that part, but like,
It doesn't sustain itself.
it doesn't sustain. But yeah, so to go against the design, yeah, 100% can be looked at as objectively wrong. You could take it out of that philosophical place and bring it in, like, okay, why is it objectively wrong? Just look at it. The world will die. Like, we need to have children to replace the population. They keep lying to us, saying population is like overflowing, or
What if the
we're
world
being
dies?
overpopulated. Yeah, so if you're gonna say why is that wrong, then
Why
that's
is that
fine.
bad? We know it's gonna.
Mm-hmm.
We know it's gonna end.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as
So-
Christians, we're waiting for Jesus to come back.
Yeah. Well,
What
if you're
if it
asking as a
ends?
Christian, we need more people always. Always, God's goal is to bring more people into the kingdom. So it's like, yeah, going against the design is wrong. Just not like a simple, like, philosophical, like, there's a design, you're going against it. Okay, it's
Yeah.
probably wrong.
Yeah.
And it's very clear that it's designed for the
These are
Yeah.
the topics that I like struggled with a little bit.
yeah.
Like, I mean, I could see them being outside of the design of God, and God has ultimately the
Absolutely.
best design, set
Yeah.
up for life for
And
us,
we could see it.
so we can
we
be
all agree.
fruitful and multiply
Exactly.
and heal and like all of these things.
Yeah, it's
Um,
literally all of life is unfortunately designed for men and women to come together, and
But
you know what I
yeah,
mean? All
yeah.
the hormones, all
Yeah.
like from whatever, a certain age, it's like Sigmund Freud said it, everything we do is for that. Like I'll say for
Mhm.
guys, like everything we do, like, trust me, if girls didn't care about having a successful man though with a nice whatever, right? These things, these standards, there'd be not one successful man in the world. Like, we don't care about that. I'm telling you, it's all for sex. Like, to be honest, you know what I mean? And that psychological
Mm.
in the back of your head, whether that's sex within marriage after you
Sounds
find
like
a good
corruption.
wife. It's the apple, you know what I mean? There's this thing that comes, human
Sounds like
nature is
corruption.
fully corrupt. And you could even see the world leans towards evil.
Yeah.
Like, if you do nothing, forget the world. Look at your life. If you did nothing, are you going to get better, or are you going to stay the same, or are you going to get worse?
Get worse.
You don't stay the same. You
I-
don't stay the same. You get worse.
Yeah. Like,
Life.
I
it
fight
pulls
my
you-
own corruption
I'm
every day.
telling you,
Like,
like,
our corruptions, like our addictions, or just
Say it
desire
louder.
to just feed and feed and
Yeah.
feed into our own flesh. It's exhausting, and it's
yeah, we became our flesh. Like that
slippery
apple.
slope.
Yeah, it's like
It's
this.
an
there's
ego,
something- It's
ego.
ego, and I say that fully. Like, it's really
ego and
like,
flesh. Yeah.
I know who I am now. But you're nothing. Like, you don't know who you are, right? Like, you're
Yeah.
literally, you were walking with God just 2 minutes ago. But the devil's a liar. Who am I to blame Eve? I would have eaten apple. Like, we would have all, like, this is we want to be God. Like, it's human condition. Like, the devil wanted to be
But
God.
then-
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
This is a really tricky question.
yeah, yeah.
You just said right now that we all want to be God, right? But
Mm.
we're saying we only got that feeling after we ate the apple. But she had the feeling
Before.
before she ate the apple.
Yeah. So my argument would be we would have had the feeling before too.
Yeah, sometimes
I wouldn't know. I don't know how, but
I was asking, I was
Yeah.
talking to Jeremy about this.
yeah.
And it's like, he seems to understand it better than me. But
Yeah.
I'm like, what was actually different? Like, we had our free will before we ate the apple. We had the option to, I guess, sin, disobey. And
Did we?
the devil was that. Well, of course we did. Well, we ended up doing it. So
Okay, so you're saying after he made the command to not eat the apple?
yeah, he said, "Do not eat the apple." We had the ability to disobey because we had
Absolutely.
free will.
Yeah.
And the devil was there as the serpent
Yeah.
who came and tempted Eve.
Yeah.
So what from before the apple to after the apple is different?
So they were walking with God in the
Yeah.
garden. God could
Yeah.
be with us. So yes, there was the option to sin because he made the command. So once the command comes in,
Did
there's
they know
option to
it
sin.
was sin?
So when you say it was sin, like, because we learn about sin, so we know sin is sin and not sin is not sin. But what sin is disobeying the command of God.
Separation from God.
Separation, like going against his nature. Simple. So if God told them don't do this and they did that, whether they're going against his command 100%. They knew what they're doing. Like, they knew it was wrong, and they knew that
But to them, like, did they know God was God and Satan was Satan?
they knew that God was God. They would walk and they talk with him. They knew he was their creator.
Okay.
And this is where, I don't know about the theology of it, but they knew that what they were doing was wrong, or else it wouldn't be charged to them. They wouldn't be able to get charged. Paul even says, before God made the command, there was sin in the world like the option to disobey, let's say, or not the option, just the opposite nature of God, let's say. That
It was still there. Well,
it
the
existed.
devil was there, so
Yeah,
obviously.
but it couldn't get charged onto anyone.
Okay.
So it existed, but even if you did sin before any law, because again, the law is not like a, here, new law, guys, like, don't do this. It's like, it's always sinful, right, to disobey. But there was no, so Paul says there was no sin to be charged onto anyone because there was no command. Once that command came in, so that's what you're talking about. Like, how do they know? That command was their 10 commandments, was their like, do not eat from every, they had all of it, you know what I mean? Eat from every tree. And they knew, they listened to every command, name the animals, you know, he listens to the command, do this, do that. But don't eat from the middle, 100%. So what is a sin? It's disobeying God.
Do you know why I'm asking that question?
Yeah,
because they ate from the tree of knowledge, right?
Yeah.
So the tree of knowledge exposes something. Does it expose the fact that they're sinning? Because you're saying they knew. Like this is definitely
It exposes.
It's a conversation that I need to have with somebody who's super like
theological with it. Because
it's very interesting, right? Because
I'm like speculating now.
You can also think about like free will. Well, without eating from the apple of knowledge, well, they didn't have full knowledge. Does that mean they didn't have full will?
You're taking knowledge and you're taking it to mean knowledge. Knowledge of good and evil could just simply mean animals have no knowledge of good and evil, right? They don't have this moral law, this moral code. You know what I mean? They live in a computer program. Like, I do this and then I do this and I do this.
Yeah.
Can't charge anything onto animals. So maybe, I mean, I'm not going to speculate too much. Yeah. I'm not going to speculate too much. Here's what I know for sure, though. They knew it was a sin because what it says is one man disobeyed God. And Paul is like, because of one man disobeyed God, all man has been charged with sin. And then it beautifully finishes it. But because of one man's obedience through Christ, all nations can be redeemed, right? So it's like 100% they were disobedient to God. So they knew what they were. Maybe it wasn't called sin, you know what I mean? But it was, you're disobeying your creator. Consider it sin. This next part of speculation, I do think they gained some sort of ego, like in their brain, self-protection mechanism. You know what I mean? Yeah, like it got corrupted. Like you've been saying, and it's true. Like it was perfect and became imperfect. What does it take for that? Yeah, perhaps a knowledge of I'm gonna die one day. I have to protect myself. Like if you look at all the evolutionary, like it's about self-protection. It's about like survival. Because God's not gonna be like, okay, then they ate the apple, and then I opened up the neural cortex in their brain. You know what I mean? It's just like, why it doesn't need to say all that, but it's like, they ate something that opened up their worldview in a way for them to, the first thing they said was, I'm naked.
Yeah.
There has to be some sort of ego. When has Adam ever been an I? Like, you've been walking with God, you've been with me, you've been me, and now you're with your wife. Like, what is this? I'm naked. Where's your wife? And God, the loving God that he is, like, oh my gosh, after all this, give these two people everything they could ever ask for, told them to not do one thing. They do the one thing. They get the consequences of, now, like, I know myself. Like, that sucks to know yourself. I'm trying to let go of myself right now so much and just give myself to God. And God still comes and says, okay, here, I'll make some clothes for you. Like, what? Yeah. Who does that? Like, what God is like, yo, you did the one thing I told you not to do in a perfect world. And now you're complaining, I'm naked. Okay, here's some clothes. Like, and not even, like, here's some clothes. My son, my daughter. Like, God is beautiful. And that's the key to the whole thing, where it's like, okay, God wants to make a free world where we're not mindless obeyers of moral law. Cup drops and it actually drops every time, right? Where we have an ability to reject. That's all evil is. It's not an actual thing. It's just a rejection of evil, of good, right? It's like darkness is not real. It's when you turn these off, the lack of light is darkness, right? Yeah. So it's like he wanted to make a world where there was free creatures who had the ability to reject him. Okay, boom. But if they do that, he's perfect, like God, and he has laws. He's not just gonna be like, okay, I know I'm perfect, but just come into heaven. You know what I mean? I'm perfect. I'm a perfect being. Let's think about it as like vibration for the new age people, right? Like imagine you have like a perfect vibrational system, right? Of the world of heaven and God. And you try to come in there with your bad vibes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're not like, no, it can't even happen. You need to, other religions would say, you need to make your vibes good to enter this no, you need to make your vibes perfect, right? You need to make your vibes good to enter this like perfect realm or whatever. Cool. God, just like he did for Adam and Eve when he clothed them, he'll give you the free will. He'll give you the option to reject him. Like he'll know this human condition that we have. So because of that, he put himself up on the line. Okay, because of how much you guys have fallen and how much you will continue to fall, there's nothing you can do to raise your vibes, right? So I'm going to come down as an image. The image of me is going to come down. So it's me. I'm coming down. God. No other religion has this. Like, I'm going to leave this perfect, you know what I mean? This perfect realm and I'm coming down here, humbling it says he was humbled below the angels. Like, the God of the universe humbled below the angels when he came down to earth. And people are like, oh, why didn't Jesus know? Guys, he humbled himself fully below the angels, right? And then it says after he was exalted higher than any, right in the right hand of the Father, right? So he sent himself. He gave us this. It's the perfect mix of like divine intervention plus like understanding of our condition. Like, he knows our condition. That's why he's like, the law brings wrath. It's like, you can't follow this, but it's good because it's perfect, which is why you can't follow it. And I'm a perfect God, and I don't, like you see in this irrational world, things don't appear out of nowhere. I don't just play games. There's laws to this. But because there's laws, I'm going to send my son to live what? A perfect life and be a representation, the opposite of what Adam was. And as Adam represented you before, now Christ will represent you now. And all you have to do is look to the stick, like in Moses, they had the stick on the hill. And if you looked at it, they were healed without actually doing anything. Just look to the stick and you'll be healed and you'll be saved. Just believe and have faith. Like, that's beautiful. Like, to know that you want to make a free world, we're going to sin, and so therefore, like, you'll come and take that, like, to allow us in your perfect realm. Amen. That's the story.
Thank you for sharing the message of the gospel. Was actually also my plan to bring that in.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up.
I love that. And I think that's the most important thing. Yeah. Because for real, like, the human condition is, there's nothing we could do. Like, all the other world religions, they really want you to, there's karma, right? Do good and you'll get good karma. There's like the 5 pillars of Islam. There's submission to Allah. Like, there's a type of Christianity is very submissive, I'll just say, right? Like, it's a very like, do these rules and stick to these. It's like, no, like, God freed us. Like, we're free in Jesus' name. That vibe is just the Jesus vibe around us now. He's just covered our thing, like, he's washed it, and it's his vibe that lets us into this perfect place. Nothing to do with us. Like, 0% is what we've done. Like, doesn't that make you feel great? So now you can be good because you love God, not because you need to get into this perfect. You can't be good enough to, like, who do you actually think you are to think that you can do enough after what you've done to God, right? Exactly. You can't, okay? You can't. So you need Christ. You need this, like, a blanket of good vibes, you know what I mean? To wash yourself and to be able to enter into heaven. And that's the message of Christ, that he could do that for you, and he'll transform you from the inside out because he loves you and because you love him. That's the message. Praise the Lord.
So today we talked about 2 very big arguments for the existence of a God. The first one was fine-tuning, and the second one was objective morality. Whether this hit a spot for you, made you understand something better, I encourage you to look into it, find more for yourself. Just be curious. God wants you to be curious. If you don't believe in him, just be curious for yourself. It's better to be informed than to be ignorant.
And as a Christian, you have that ability. Like, the Bible is not irrational. Like you can have your questions answered. Like, it's not, you don't have to, like, live in this 50. You don't need that. Okay,
both of these arguments definitely point at a designer, in my opinion, and in a lot of people's opinion. A lot of people much smarter than me, that's also their opinion. A designer who has intentionally created both the universe and this moral law that we're all pulled towards. They both point to a deeper purpose and order that cannot be explained solely by chance or by necessity. So, to wrap up here, thank you, Nathaniel, for coming on Meaning Unseen podcast. And for you guys, if today's episode has sparked something meaningful for you or helped you see things differently, please like and subscribe, and feel free to share your thoughts and questions in the comments. Let's continue to explore the unseen together. See you soon. God bless.
Bye.